Have you ever witnessed a moment that made you question everything you thought you knew about strength, loyalty, and courage? This isn't just a story about a soldier. It's a story about what happens when pride meets pain, and when those who think they've seen it all realize they've overlooked someone who carried more scars and more honor than they ever could imagine to stay with me till the end. Because the moment you find out who she really was, you'll feel the same wave of silence and regret that swept through that SEAL team. And before we start, this is Grow for Justice, where we bring you real and powerful human stories that stir your heart and open your eyes. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. We'd love to know. The sun hung low over the dusty horizon of a forward operating base in Kandahar, Afghanistan. The heat shimmered against the airstrip, and the faint hum of distant helicopters echoed across the barren valley. A U.S. Navy SEAL team, 6 men strong, had just returned from a 14-hour reconnaissance mission. Their uniforms were caked in dust, their eyes bloodshot, and their bodies drained. But their morale was high. They had made it back without losing AM, and as they unloaded their weapons and gear, laughter broke out. The type of laughter soldiers use to shake off the tension that clings to them after every mission. Sergeant Cole, the team's leader, stretched his back and said with a grin, "Another day, another hell survived." The others chuckled, but then, out of the corner of his eye, Cole noticed movement near the base's gate. A female soldier was limping toward them, her uniform torn and soaked in dried blood. Her helmet was gone, her hair matted, and a bandage on her left arm had long since come undone. She was dragging a heavy pack behind her, each step a battle against pain. "Damn," one of the younger SEALs muttered. "What happened to her?" Cole squinted. "Probably just a medic from one of the convoy units. She'll get patched up." The woman stopped a few feet away from them. Her voice was hoarse but calm. "Excuse me, which way to the medical tent?" No one moved at first. Maybe it was the shock of seeing someone so clearly hurt, walking alone. Or maybe it was because to the SEALs she didn't look like one of them. "Down that way," Cole finally said, pointing with his chin. "You'll find it." She nodded faintly. "Thanks." As she turned away, one of the men, Petty Officer Marks, whispered under his breath, "Looks like she shouldn't even be standing. What's she doing out here alone?" No one answered. The conversation shifted back to the mission, to food, to sleep, anything but her. They didn't know her, didn't know her story. And in the back of their minds, they told themselves she'd be fine. Soldiers get hurt all the time, right? But less than 10 minutes later, a commotion broke out near the communications tent. A radio operator came running, shouting something about a missing convoy. Cole's instincts kicked in. "What's going on?" The operator panted. "A medevac convoy from Sector 9 got ambushed last night. Only one survivor made it back on foot." Cole frowned. "Only one?" "Yeah," the operator said. "A female sergeant named Harper Quinn." The name hit like a grenade in the silence that followed. The SEAL team exchanged glances. The woman who had just limped past them, the one they'd barely acknowledged, wasn't just a medic. She was the Harper Quinn. Harper Quinn was a legend few outside the Special Operations Circle knew by name, but every SEAL, Ranger, and Marine who'd served in the region had heard stories about her. She wasn't supposed to be there anymore. She had been part of a classified unit, one that worked deep in enemy territory, coordinating extraction routes and saving lives. She had saved more soldiers than anyone could count, patching them up under fire, dragging them to safety when others froze. But after a mortar strike took out half her squad 2 months earlier, word was she'd been reassigned stateside. No one expected to see her again. Cole's stomach dropped. "That was her." Marks nodded slowly. "She asked for the medical tent." Regret began to creep into their voices. They had seen a hero bleeding before them, and treated her like a stranger. By the time Cole and his men reached the medical tent, the mood inside was grave. Harper lay on a cot, unconscious, her body covered in bruises and knife wounds. The doctor in charge looked up as they entered. "You SEALs know her?" Cole hesitated. "Not really. She came through our sector a few minutes ago." The doctor sighed. "She shouldn't even be alive. She walked 15 miles from the ambush site on a broken leg. Her convoy was hit hard. She stayed behind when the others were overrun held them off long enough for two injured men to escape. Cole's chest tightened. She fought them off alone? The doctor nodded grimly. She was stabbed 7 times, shot once in the shoulder, and still refused evacuation until she confirmed everyone else was clear. Silence filled the tent. The SEAL team, men who prided themselves on endurance, stared at the broken woman before them. And suddenly, they felt small. All their missions, their pride, their toughness, it meant nothing compared to what she had done. Marks whispered, "We just watched her walk by. We didn't even offer to help." Cole clenched his fists. "We fixed that right now." Over the next few days, they did everything they could to help Harper recover. The SEALs brought her supplies, food, even stood guard outside the tent when insurgent activity was rumored nearby. They didn't speak much, but their presence said everything. When Harper finally woke up, her eyes flickered open to the sight of 6 SEALs standing silently in a line at her bedside. She tried to speak, her voice weak but steady. "You didn't have to babysit me." Cole stepped forward. "No, ma'am. We didn't. We wanted to." A faint smile touched her lips. "SEALs don't usually say that." He chuckled softly. "SEALs also don't usually ignore a hero walking by, either. We owe you more than we can ever say." She looked at him for a long moment, eyes glistening. "Then promise me one thing." "Anything," he said. "Next time you see someone walking wounded, don't assume they're weak. Sometimes they've already fought their hardest battles." Cole nodded, words caught in his throat. "Understood, Sergeant Quinn." When Harper was finally strong enough to move, the SEALs escorted her to the airstrip for her evacuation flight. As she boarded, she paused at the ramp and turned back to them. "You boys keep your pride," she said softly, "but don't let it blind you." Then she saluted. The entire SEAL team snapped to attention and returned the salute, a rare gesture that carried more meaning than any medal. As the plane lifted off, Marks turned to Cole. "You ever feel like we met an angel out here?" Cole shook his head slowly. "No, not an angel. A soldier who reminded us what real strength looks like." Months later, back in the States, Cole received a letter with a Marine Corps SEAL. Inside was a simple note, written in neat handwriting. "Thank you for watching over me when I couldn't stand. Keep doing what you do, but never forget who you fight for." Harper Quinn folded with the letter was a photo. Harper, standing tall in uniform again, scars visible but smiling. Behind her, a unit of Marines stood with her proudly. Cole placed the letter in his locker, right next to his team insignia. It stayed there forever, and that's how a wounded female soldier, one they almost ignored, changed an entire SEAL team's understanding of courage, compassion, and humility. Sometimes the strongest warriors aren't the ones who look invincible. They're the ones who keep walking, even when every step hurts. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to subscribe to Grow for Justice, because we share stories that remind the world of humanity, honor, and truth. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? We'd love to know how far these stories of courage travel.